I'm super excited about putting this Arcade1up together for everybody to show you how to build an awesome, like, super rad 80s arcade for a couple extra $100. Oh my God! Welcome back to the channel. This is DKOG73, and tonight I'm excited. We're gonna mod an Arcade1up. It's a 4th gen Pac Man Cabaret. It's a beautiful cabinet. It's got a couple of fun games. We're gonna put 60 awesome arcade games. In fact, 5 of these are probably some of the best 5 arcade games ever made, like Space Invaders. Gosh, we're gonna put on Donkey Kong, Pac Man, Miss Pac Man, Zaxxon, Dig Dug, so many awesome games. I can't wait to share with you what we're gonna do. It's awesome. And the best part about this video, it's a 2-part series. I'm gonna make it so anybody can do it.
You ready to have some fun? Let's do it.
This is what you need to get started. I'm gonna go over each piece real quickly. And then we're gonna have a second video where all we do is the install, and it's a 5-part process. So I'm super excited. The first thing you're going to need is an arcade power supply right here. And then what you do is you use your JAMA harness right here, and you go from your PCB board, your Arcade1 board, through your JAMA into here. This is what powers up the PCB board. This, however, needs power as well. In the past, I've had to make my own little connector just like this. The cool thing, for like 20 bucks, you get the power supply and you get this. It's gonna save you a bunch of time. So again, power supply is important. The most important part of this build is obviously this PCB board right here. This is 60-in-1. It's got some amazing games. The best part is there's almost no configuration. There's no lag. With JAMA, there's no lag. So when we play Donkey Kong or Pac Man or Miss Pac Man, it's gonna play awesome. It's gonna look pretty good too. But this is your arcade board right here. They're about 40 bucks. They're not that expensive. Okay. These are some mounting feet. You're gonna mount the board on the inside of the Arcade1up, and you're gonna want to get these mounting feet. They're like 5 or 6 bucks. I picked them up from Amazon. Okay. Now this is the JAMA harness. It looks crazy, right? You only need like 8 of these out of like 50 cables. You're only need like 8, and I'll show you that in the install. It's super easy. It's color coded. Now this JAMA harness, I actually spent a little bit more money so that I could actually see each of the different cables coming out of the harness. So I can actually see where they go to, because you can spend a little bit less and it's like all in Chinese, but if you spend like 2 more bucks, you're gonna get everything in English. So instead of Chinese characters, you'll see, for example, up, down, left, right, kind of like your joystick. You know, button 1, button 2, button 3, player 1, player 2, all that kind of stuff. Super, super easy. It's like painting by colors. So this is your JAMA harness. I think I paid like 18, 19 bucks or something like that. This is your LED controller board right here. This is what you're gonna plug into the back of your Arcade1up. I'm gonna show you how to remove the Arcade1up board and pull the cables that were plugged into that board. Instead of going into that board, we're gonna plug those cables into this LED controller board. This is what allows you to send the video signal from the 60-in-1 into your Arcade1up. So I don't know, I think I paid 25 bucks, not that much. Again, everything here is like about 200 bucks. So if you already have an Arcade1up vertical, like a Pac Man or a Galaga or something like that, it's really, I mean, it's like a couple $100 and you're gonna have an awesome arcade. Now, be advised, there are different generations of the Arcade1up. There's a, for example, Pac Man was one of the first games they brought out. It has a Gen 1. The Arcade1up Pac Man that I have is a Gen 4. So on the back of your monitor inside your Arcade1up, there's a model number. I'll show you that when we do the install. When you go to pick up your LED controller board, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have the right LED controller board for your gen of Arcade1up. So it's pretty basic, pretty straightforward. Also, one of the things you'll find is that these LED controller boards come with this really tiny, essentially bolt and nut. What you're gonna wanna do is use this to ground the LED controller board, okay? So it's pretty straightforward. Sound. In the old days, I had to use like an amp, like a counter amp, and I had to buy speakers, and I had to go get a new panel, or I had to create a speaker panel. Guess what? This is 4th gen. There's 2 little speakers up top inside the Arcade1up. I'm simply going to use this cable. I'm going to plug the speakers in here, and I'm going to plug this straight in. It's going to save me about 2 hours of time. And I think it was like 12 bucks. So I can go figure, right? 12 bucks. I don't have to buy speakers. I don't have to buy an amp. I don't have to mess around with any of that. I'm just going to plug in the speakers straight to here and plug this right into the Arcade1up. It's going to sound beautiful too. It's a straight digital connection. The power strip. I like Belkin. Why? I've never had a problem with Belkin, ever. I've been an IT guy for 20 years, and I love Belkin power strips. It's a great little power strip, but I also choose Belkin for this really important reason. You'll notice there's a switch here. A lot of people, when they go to mod the Arcade1up, they're going to put a power switch on there. It's just a bunch of extra work. If you do this the way I show you how to do it, you can literally use some double-sided sticky tape, drop this on the corner of your Arcade1up. You're going to cut a little tiny, like, I want to say it's about a 3/4 inch by 1.5 out of the corner of your back panel. And what you're going to do is you're going to make it so that when you want to fire up your Arcade1up, you just simply flip that switch and everything will turn on. It's beautiful. I can't wait to show you. It's so cool. Buttons and joysticks. I've said it a bunch. You'll hear me say it for the rest of my life on YouTube. Everything can be awesome, but if your joystick and your buttons aren't great, it makes it it makes it a less awesome experience. So I like SuzoHap when I'm playing old school Donkey Kong, Pac Man, Miss Pac Man, Space Invaders, 1942. I like using the American SuzoHap competition joystick. It works great, love it, easy to assemble, and everything is just plug and play. We're literally just going to be connecting the JAMA harness, and I'll show you step by step how to do it. So the goal is, again, to make this the easiest mod you've ever done in your life. These are the SuzoHap buttons. I picked up an entire set of SuzoHap joysticks and buttons from Tornado Terry's on eBay. I highly recommend them. 50 bucks, 2 joysticks, 16 buttons, a whole bunch of awesome cherry switches, which are like perfect. I love cherry switches, and I love SuzoHap buttons because it really is. I mean, when you look at the difference between this button and the button, again, I'm not dissing Arcade1up. For 300 bucks for someone to be able to play Galaga and Pac Man in their house, it's steal. It's amazing. Okay, we're gonna take that Pac Man, that Cabaret Pac Man, and we're just gonna dial it up like 4 notches, and it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to show you. But again, you're gonna want to have good buttons, good switches, and you're gonna have really good joysticks. That's really gonna complement this awesome arcade experience that you're essentially gonna have using a JAMA PCB board. It's gonna be no lag. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You're gonna take your Arcade1up from a couple games to 60, and about 10 of those 60 games are some of the best retro games ever made. So I'm super fired up. You're going to want some screws to mount your joysticks on the underside of the control panel. I'm super excited about putting this Arcade1up together for everybody to show you how to build an awesome, like, super rad 80s arcade for a couple extra $100. Hopefully you've already got an Arcade1up. If you don't, check on OfferUp, eBay before you go to like Walmart or Best Buy or whatever. Every once in a while you can get a really good deal with a Galaga or a Pac Man for like 150 bucks. So if you get a good deal on the Arcade1up and you pick up these parts, I mean, you're gonna have an awesome arcade for at the most 500 bucks. So I'm super excited to share with you how this all works and how we put it all together and how it's gonna play. Before we do that, I'm gonna play one last game of Pac Man for everybody on my arcade, and I do want to give a very special shout out to ETA Prime. His video was the very first video I ever watched years ago, learning how to mod my Arcade1up. And ETA Prime, thank you. Really appreciate all the effort and time you put into that video. It helps a lot of people like me learn how to do this. I'm paying it forward. I'm going to show some people how to put a 16-bit Arcade1up.